we really did so well in the past and that we want to continue to do well. So it was really important for us to not break that. However, of course, we also want to innovate in that field.
So I think we cannot tell you in depth, about gameplay mechanics, but definitely what we can tell right now is based on the trailer that we just showcased. There are a few things that definitely worth noticing. Like, there are some similarities for sure when it comes to combat with Geralt. Like you have this, generally the sword combat, right? There is also a spell that is more or less you can compare it to Quen, right? But overall, yes, there is a chain, and it's some kind of like a homage for the very first initial trailer we've created like 20 years ago for Witcher 1. You remember probably Geralt fighting Striga. Obviously, the chain over there was just in cinematics. We didn't have the chain in the combat, but in this case, in Witcher 4, Ciri will be able to use chain as a utility tool. And it's really fun, and I believe it's going to be a great piece of tool in your Witchery equipment. On top of that, it's worth to remember that Ciri, as the Witcher, she's also the very powerful source, meaning that she's able to kind of control the elements around her, the source around her, right? And what we've presented is exactly what you've mentioned. She kind of catalyzed the energy out of the place of power, out of the stream of the water, and she catalyzed it to create this electricity bolt to to make this kind of opportunity window for her to get the Zirael down from the ground and chop the creature limbs. So this is already a promise of but definitely it's not everything. There's going to be time for sure when we'll present gameplay, but that needs to wait.
So what we can say is that The Witcher 4 will take place a few years after The Witcher 3. How exactly it works with, let's say, time-wise, when Ciri is, got the new eyes, how this will work. I think these are all basically mysteries and secrets that are part of the story that we will actually tell in The Witcher 4. So I don't want to spoil too much there yet. But basically, I think all the questions that especially fans had when seeing that trailer are questions that we asked ourselves. And we take the lore of The Witcher very, very seriously. I think we always did. We are, of course, an adaptation. We are continuing after the stories from Andrzej Sapkowski's books. But I think it was always really important for us to stay within that canon and to keep all of these things really correct. So we thought about these things a lot. How exactly we will handle them, I think I would be spoiling too much right now. So again, this is actually something that we can't talk about yet. I wanted to say that we took all of these things very seriously, the books, but also the 3 games. And that, of course, also includes the endings of The Witcher 3. Wild Hunt, and of course, the big choices that people made in those stories that they experienced. So we thought about it a lot, how we want to deal with those things. How exactly we do it, we can't actually say yet. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I mean, Ciri will have definitely her own horse to explore the world, but again, that particular fact needs to also wait a little bit. It requires some more cooking, but yeah, definitely we'll get back to you at some point and we'll reveal it, as this is a very important message, I believe, too. Roach was a character, and we love Roach.
Yeah. So I can actually give you 2 answers. First, I actually want to tell you that what you just said is something that we want to keep. Because we also know that some of those strengths our character-driven storytelling, our focus on mature storytelling, where we also tackle some important themes, where we never give easy answers, but actually we ask you difficult questions, this difficult choice and consequence. This is still something that I think we really did so well in the past and that we want to continue to do well. So it was really important for us to not break that. However, of course, we also want to innovate in that field. So how exactly we do it, I actually can't say yet because we don't want to talk yet about our detailed features for the game. But I can definitely tell that we also want to look at how open world games go through an evolution. And I think in our case, we really want to also look at open worlds becoming deeper and not just wider. And deeper also means for us that in terms of the storytelling, that maybe we have a few more options to play with in how and what kind of a character Ciri will actually become.
And also I think that the trailer, right, represents that world perfectly, which is like very dark and grounded. And then that you literally having some kind of a consequence in the end that is pretty grim and you could possibly have a different ending. It kind of represents the stakes that we want to evoke in our game. They are coherent with everything we've created so far, and they are coherent with the world. And actually that represents also one of the side quests potentially in The Witcher 4. So we already set some kind of a mood, some kind of an atmosphere with this trailer to let all the players around the world know what kind of stories you can experience at some point.
So I would say, I think, Ciri is her own character. She's already an established character, but the cool thing about The Witcher 4 is that this is the game of her becoming a Witcher. And becoming a Witcher also means finding your own code. Because I think this is also one thing that's really important. Witchers always talk about the Witcher code, but that doesn't exist. There's no Witcher code written down. It's basically a code that every Witcher makes for themselves. And often it comes from a lot of experience. As an example, let's say this code of neutrality, if you get involved into everything all the time, often it won't end well for you. And Ciri is a character who actually wants to be involved, who wants to help people, who wants to do what she thinks is right. But in The Witcher 4, it will be up to her and the player to decide when this is actually appropriate or what kind of choices to make. Because as we show in this trailer, sometimes getting involved in a certain way can also lead to tragedy. So I think this will always be, it's not, Geralt doesn't have that code for no reason. So this is also something that Ciri becoming a Witcher will have to go through. She will have to learn a lot of those lessons together with the player.
She's still Heir the Blood, that's for sure. That's part of Ciri. But regarding the magic, regarding the energy, right, these powers, that we'll have to wait some time, and we'll wait and let you experience it at some point. We cannot tell you exactly. What we can promise that definitely we'll address it in a way that are going to be understandable and with a full respect to the endings of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt.